State Archives collection is housed here at Kingswood. We run to over 90 kilometres of records, and these date from the various earliest days of the colony of New South Wales. Come through and have a look at the Charter of Justice.
The third Charter of Justice.
The third Charter of Justice.
In terms of nationhood, it was a real pivot. It was a real pivot moment for the colony.
Yes.
For courts to be safely independent, and that is what the Sheriff under your leadership does.
And it was good that with this it established some sort of law and order.
And the Sheriff is a vital organ.
Tell you what, it's a legacy you've got to live up to. And
I know.
The role of the New South Wales Sheriff's Officer is to ensure the safety of all persons in the courtroom.
Just place your bag on the conveyor belt, thank you.
And several supporters defied sheriff officers who were acting on a Supreme Court order to evict him from his egg farm at Preston.
The court officer cannot, under any circumstances, discuss the case with the jury.
Faithful and bear true allegiance.
So help me God.
The New South Wales Sheriff's Office. Who are we? What do we do? And why are we so important to the justice system? It's 1824. It's only been a few decades since the unceded takeover of what colonialists declared terra nullius from millennia of ownership by Indigenous Australians. The lawlessness of the first military colony of New South Wales called for some serious civilian reform. The solution proposed a sheriff. No, not this. Instead, after many deliberations, the first sheriff, John Mackiness, was appointed by the King and was shipped over from good old England. His role was to execute a bush version of the law enforcer from Saxon times, birthing the oldest law enforcement agency in Australia. Since then, things haven't always gone according to plan. There have been some unfortunate mishaps. Dangerous debt collection. Yeah! And the gruesome role of the hangman stayed with us right up until the 1950s. Since then, the nation has evolved, jurisdictions have shifted, and as Australia changed, so did the New South Wales Sheriff's Office.
In around about the 70s, I was asked if I'd go on secondment to the Sheriff's Office because they thought it was about time that there was an upgrading and a modernisation. Had a bit of a hurdle because some of the officers there had been there since World War II, and so they were established and they really enjoyed their job.
It was a dreadful job. They nearly all complained all the time. We weren't equipped for it, really.
Hello, Don. Edward Kennedy. Don was in the Sheriff's Office when I came there. So we had law enforcement officers in civilian clothing going into people's houses and seizing goods.
That's not the way you run a place.
So with the help of people like Don, we transitioned.
I introduced the uniforms.
We had a bluey-grey leather jacket in those days. We're sort of standing at the front looking tough.
Yes, it may have been the uniform that inspired me to join the job.
It became a much more public law enforcement agency, but one of the most dramatic changes was court security.
The well-being of every court depends on the quality of the security maintained by sheriff's officers. In the city, due to the greater volume of court activity, security requires more complex procedures.
The emphasis towards the security has certainly changed. Do training, get our training levels up and use our skills, and we free up police not to have to be there.
Back in my olden days, everything was done manually. We had to do carbon copy, typewriter, and we had to be careful that we didn't make mistakes.
We spent about $500,000 in 1985-86 on a computerisation of the jury system, and that certainly improved the operations.
I was one of the first
that was from overseas.
And we were both were court officer and
in charge of the different juries.
I'm sure you came across a lot of people that were nervous.
Oh, yes.
One of our strengths is actually gaining the community's trust because we're the first point of contact for any member of the community.
I always coached them outside court and said, now look at the judge.
We're here to assist you.
That's right. It was a very interesting job and I loved every minute of it, you know.
What year was that?
That was in 1987, and they were just trialling women at that stage. My first few days, I was really excited. I rocked up to Gosford Sheriff's Office. The manager at the time, he didn't know anything about it. He did make quite a few phone calls to head office to find out what was going on though. I'd always worked in male-dominated workforces. I was an investigation officer. I had a bit of a fight with a petrol tanker. I was doing an espionage job. I lost my left eye. Said, I think I'll join the sheriffs. I would have the skills. Women can do the job. The challenge was perfect.
Well, as the first female sheriff that's been appointed permanently to the role, you know, you question yourself and you ask, have I got the goods to get through this? But I've been in the justice system for 42 years. Started my career as a police officer and I was studying law at the same time and I had a baby in between all of that as well.
So I worked in high needs disability and I worked at a dairy farm for a long time.
I was a hairdresser for a long time and just being able to talk to anybody, empathise with them, de-escalate.
I'm really happy that we have a female sheriff of New South Wales. It sort of gives hope to the new generation that it's not just a male's job.
I really do think that that's part of the true fabric of the Sheriff's Office. You know, we have got people from all walks of life.
I'd come from originally a military background and I was the sheriff from 2008 to 2011. There was a humbleness, if you like, to the organisation. I put it out to the staff and I said, find some efficiencies. Look at shifting the way that we communicated, and we started including just the basic translation.
Lots of times, like, you meet with different people, and he's from our background. Like, two of our field officers, they went to the one address. That guy, he was very anxious because he thought maybe something bad happened. And then officer, he said, Ranjan, can you help? And I explained to him in Bengali, just someone owed the money. It's helped him to feel safe.
Was that first step for us towards breaking down barriers. It's that whole thing about partnership.
Court can be incredibly intimidating. In my late 20s, I was going through a split up. I ended up representing myself in the Federal Circuit Court, and it was a terrifying experience. As such, I always make an effort to ensure that people who attend the court understand what is expected of them, understand what they're meant to do, so that they can focus on their case rather than doing the wrong thing.
I grew up in Redfern, 80s, early 90s, and my grandparents were a part of the stolen generation. And anyone with any authority, there's no trust. So I was working at the Downing Centre and I was assisting people I knew, so I was actually helping them. You can't change it unless you're a part of it.
For Indigenous kids, I think it's important that they see the blue uniform as it's not an enemy. I was so bloody proud to show my grandkids, look, Baba did that.
I like to be really supportive of my staff and I try and encourage them to talk about things with me. We're doing a really good job, I think, of starting to represent people and allow people to be comfortable and proud of who they are.
Oh wow, I feel powerful. The assistant sergeants. Being a young person in this job, the senior officers, they'd pass down their experience and knowledge to the younger and new recruits, and makes it easier for us. But then that's when us younger generations step in and we make it better.
The Academy is providing a
workforce that's trained and equipped, provide various programs to existing sheriff's officers, new recruit classes, developing our people, giving them the training and the confidence so they become future leaders.
We have abilities, we have skills that can be utilised across the board. RFS assist, police assist during COVID and things like that.
The Sheriff's Office responded to the COVID-19 crisis in an incredible way.
The stuff we had to do with COVID. We would stand up in front of a bunch of jurors and explain how to use a COVID test. Oh my God. And Suzanne would get out the test and show the stick right next to her nose.
We were able to accommodate all the different rules and public health orders that were coming into effect.
But it's how we deal with it as a small team and how the organisation as a wider organisation deals with it.
Everybody supports one another and we work together no matter where you go.
We've come a long way in the last 10 to 12 years. We've now got the respect of the community and we're recognised as a very prominent law enforcement agency. So there's some real credit to all of the staff for how they've been performing.
This 200-year milestone has given us the opportunity to really stop and reflect on where we are as an organisation, and I think where we are right now is something that we can all be very proud of. I don't get emotional.
Yeah, that's really wonderful.
I think everyone who works for the Sheriff's Office does it because it's in them, it's in their heart. They don't do it for themselves. They do it for the community that we serve.
I don't know if it was your time, but someone said they used to have barbecues on the roof of the Downing Centre.
At the Downing Centre, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do tell me about
but with the approval of the Chief Magistrate and the Chief Judge.
One fun fact about the sheriffs that no one would know, we at the sheriffs do not have fun.
Fun fact, people think that we've got a horse.
One of the ones I used to get was, do you wear tights?
Sheriff of Nottingham, the bad dude, that's us.
We're New South Wales Sheriff's Officers.
And we're proud to be protecting you and our justice system.